How's it going, everybody? Hope we're all doing okay today. Back with a brand new video, and this is what I've been so excited to make for the longest time, and that is we're going to be talking about big cats in the UK, and going to be looking at some of the history behind it. And this is very much rooted in fact. We've got a little interview clip with an eyewitness, and yeah, if it sounds like something that you'd be interested in seeing, please stick around. So, where did this come from? Obviously, we've talked about Bigfoot, we've touched on other little things as well, but they're very rooted in mythology and legend. Whereas we know big cats are real. We know that, you know, there's lions, tigers, leopards, panthers, jaguars, and all the rest of it. So we know these animals are real, but people are still seeing them in the wild in the UK. And again, we've touched upon this before in other Bigfoot videos about how, you know, as far as recent as a couple of hundred years ago, we still had lions in this country. Now, I'm not saying that people are seeing lions because, you know, as I've said before, I've worked with animals for over 10 years, and I do have some experience with big cats. Not much, but I do have a bit. And there are alleged eyewitness sightings of lions in this country, but the vast majority of eyewitness accounts in the UK are black leopards, or black panthers, whatever you want to call them, or mountain lions, the smaller built big cats. So big cats in the UK goes as far back as the Roman times, as when, you know, the Roman Empire came to England, you know, 2,000 years ago. And of course, the Romans were known for their gladiatorial exhibitions, you know, putting warriors and slaves against wild animals. So one of the theories is that big cats have been here ever since the Romans got here, and maybe some of them managed to escape. So that could be one theory. The most popular theory for big cats in the UK is that if you go back to the 1960s, those obviously don't live in the UK, we have a very affluent shop in London called Harrods, and back in those days you could actually buy pet cubs, you know, panther cubs, lion cubs, cheetah cubs. It was very, very trendy at the time to do that. And then in 1975, when the Dangerous Wild Animals Act came into play in this country, a lot of these people who had these, you know, these pet big cats, if they didn't surrender them to a zoo or a shelter, or they felt embarrassed to do so, what's more than likely is that they just let them out the back door and off they went into the wild. So one of the main naysayer arguments about there being no big cats here in the UK, and it's that the UK is too small, there isn't enough habitat, they can't be here, we would have seen them by now. When you look at a city like Delhi in India, they have, you know, over 50 Asian leopards running around quietly in that city, picking off pet dogs and, you know, small rodents, and they never get seen. And as I say, there's millions of people that live in Delhi. So somewhere like the UK, which we talked about before, is a lot more rural than what people actually realise. I think it's quite possible that they could be here. And there's a wide terrain in the UK, wild type terrain. We have meadows, farm fields, woodland, old forest and new forest, which is what we talked about before with the Bigfoot phenomenon. You know, obviously there's lots of mountain ranges. We've touched upon the subterranean tunnels in, you know, Bigfoot videos before. There's coastal regions, you know, riverbeds, canals. There's all sorts of places for these creatures to live quietly. So what about food source? Where are they going to get their food from? Well, big cats are predators for starters. They're carnivores, they eat meat. Now, I've spoken about Whitton Park before, which is where I live, is that. And I went, 10 years ago when I was a college student, I went to Marisco College, which is like a agricultural, land-based college. And they had one in Whitton Park. And I always remember, all year round, but particularly springtime, there was so many rabbits that were running around, you know, all over the place in the park, that you never see them anymore. You never see rabbits anymore. You see the occasional hare, and obviously there's still quite a lot of squirrels about. But I think, me personally, I think this big cat population, it must be doing okay. They must be breeding, and they must be quietly controlling the rabbit population. And again, I'm not an expert in big cats. I know bits about them. A big cat would much rather pick off a couple of rabbits every day than try and risk itself serious injury and go after a deer, which would obviously keep it fed for a lot longer. It's just more energy efficient for them to do something like that. It is seen across the UK, and it has been done for a long time, excuse me, are mutilated sheep remains. And a lot of these sheep that are found, you know, as I say, mutilated, that is the term I could use. They're not found dead from overexposure to the elements. Sheep are hardy animals, they're used to our turbulent weather. But every so often a farmer loses a sheep and it has all the characteristics of a big cat kill. It's not a fox, you know, and unless it's some sort of Satanist cult out there that are killing sheep for the fun of it, it's either going to be a big cat or it might be even the woodwoose getting itself a cheeky protein snack. So, with all that in mind, I'm going to now pass over the video to an eyewitness who saw a black panther, leopard type creature back in 2010. So see what you think of that. So, today we're in a little bit of a different location than the usual campfire location, and we've got a nice special guest with us here today. You might say that crazy runs in the family, but this is my mum, and she's going to share with us what we both saw in the late summer of 2010. So, do you want to say hello to the viewers?
Hi, hello everybody.
So, just to kind of like give you guys a bit of context, yeah, it was 2010 and it was late summer, probably late August or early September, and we'd been for a day out in Nottingham, and we were coming back along through the Midlands, some beautiful scenic roads that ran by some reservoirs, kind of like where we are now really. And it was you that saw it first, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we came round this corner, came round this bend, and I only just saw the tail end of it.
We came round a bend, and I can remember because I was sat in the back with Millie because she was only really little, and something just caught my eye from the side. And I thought, as I looked across, I thought, well, it's far too big to be, it wasn't a black sheep, it's far too big to be a black sheep, but it had the shape of a cat.
Yeah.
And I had a look again, and I saw the tail, and it's definitely not a sheep, and it had to be a black cat, and then it suddenly just disappeared as we drove further past. I kept turning around to have a look, and it was definitely the shape of a cat. It wasn't a sheep, it was definitely a cat, but it was a black cat.
How far away would you say it was from the car, distance wise in feet, 2 meters?
I would say probably about 200 feet away from the car.
Yeah.
And it just caught my eye for some reason. It was by itself, there was nothing else around, and then it just sort of slowly, as we drove away, I can remember it just disappeared from sight.
See what you say about the tail, that's what I remember the most. As we came round the bend, that's what I heard you say, oh my gosh, look at that.
Yeah.
So we all turned, and I just remember seeing the end of this tail. And obviously, you know, because I've worked with animals for, you know, quite a while, I know what a dog tail looks like, and I know what a cat tail looks like, and it was very thin and slender, and it had a slight bulbous edge to it as well.
Yeah.
It looked like a panther, didn't it?
It did look like a panther. It wasn't, I didn't realise until we'd gone past it that what I'd actually seen, because I was just expecting it to be a black sheep, and when I realised, no, it's not a sheep, it is some sort of cat. I was just sort of transfixed then, looking out of the window.
So what do you think it was doing there?
Just roaming.
Yeah.
Might have been there for, I don't know how long it's, like longer than been there. Maybe it was just wild, but it was just roaming.
There are big cats in the UK.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Probably more down south, I would have thought.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, we were in the Midlands,
Yeah,
weren't we?
yeah.
So that would make sense.
Yeah.
And would you like to see one again?
Oh yeah, I would. Yes.
Brilliant. Thanks for being an interview recipient on this episode.
You're very welcome.
And hopefully we can get my mum back on the show again soon, guys. Another naysayer argument, which to be honest with you, I find it quite laughable, really. And it's people who say that the UK is too cold for big cats to live here. And you're forgetting one very important little fact that you can't dispute, and it's not mumbo jumbo, it's not mythology, it's not speculation like what we do with Bigfoot. This is fact, and it is that big cats are mammals, and that they're warm-blooded, and we have lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars already here in captivity that live in zoos all year round that are exposed to these elements. So a temperate climate like what we do have in the UK, in my opinion, I don't think it would be any trouble to a big cat to be able to survive in and thrive in well. Important question to ask, I suppose, if there are big cats here and we know that they're doing okay and they're quietly thriving, how many are there? Now we've spoken about unknown animal populations in videos past when we used the population bottleneck analogy to work out if the Bigfoot, the UK Bigfoot, the UK wildman, if it is a flesh and blood type creature. We've used that analogy to work out how many of them there are. And I think that you could probably do the same for the big cats as well in this country. And again, it'd be very hard to actually put a figure on it. But if these creatures are not close to sort of dying out or disappearing entirely from our countryside, I think it's fair to assume that there would be more than 300 individuals of them here because of the frequency of the sightings and how often they're seen. So yeah, I would say over 300, maybe 400 if we're being generous. So I think we'll leave it there for today, guys. There's probably other things I want to talk about that I forgot, and we will talk about them again in the future. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, please leave a comment, a like, subscribe if you already haven't. I really appreciate that. Apologies if this video's been a bit windy. We've had very unpredictable weather today. Hopefully it's not too bad. And yeah, I'm hoping to do some more videos this week about Bigfoot, dogmen. Might do a video on the witches of Pendle Hill as well. So please stay tuned for that if that sounds like something you'd be interested in seeing. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys, and I'll see you all further on down the road. Bye bye.
Controlling the rabbit population when they got out the back door.
You're gonna have a right laugh later on when I've got this all right.
We're recording.
What
What were you gonna say next?
Alright, you recording.
I am recording.
Another thing that is seen. Wait for this wind to pass.
Yeah.
Cop.
Hello everybody.
What's your name?
Oliver's mum.
So this is a segment of Oliver's video I like to call Morning with Millie, and this is where we talk about Bigfoot theories, big and small. So this first one I'd like to talk to you about is called Bigfoot's in the trees, where Bigfoot stand behind trees, and personally I also feel they stand behind hills and mountains.
Right, cool.
It was just roaming.
It was you bugger. I saw you.
Did you see it though? Did you hear it going? It was roaming. How long it had been there for? What is your problem? You said how long it's been there for. So as I was saying, the Bigfoots hide behind hills, and personally I feel these hills are moving like the Bigfoots move with the trees. And there it looks like where the Bigfoot, there might be a footprint there if you can see. you can see the big toe there, like that bit there. And it also looks like it's got an extra toe sticking out there, like a branch.
Oh.
Right, you ready, Millie?